嗨，大家好，我是坦平叔。今天是2025年3月1号，这一期咱们还得聊一聊俄罗斯侵略乌克兰。这一期主要聊什么？聊这个著名的，就是大家现在已经众所周知的泽连斯基舌战特朗普和万斯。我今天的俄乌战争这个节目早上做的这个节目，实际上是昨天晚上做节目的时候，泽连斯基和特朗普的会晤还没开始。我在节目里面也说了，美乌矿产协议还没有签，能不能签还不太清楚，因为泽连斯基从乌克兰出发到美国，这本身就充满了这个波折。是法国的媒体报道，美方通知泽连斯基不要来了，因为他们就没有达成一致，也就美乌矿产协议啊还有重大的分歧。但是这个时候泽连斯基已经到了是波兰吧还是爱尔兰，就是他已经在机场，他在机场接受记者采访的时候他就说了，去美国还不确定。后来泽连斯基给这个马克龙打电话，马克龙又再次跟特朗普斡旋，这个时候美国才同意泽连斯基去华盛顿签这个矿产协议。所以说这里面本身就充满了变数。今天早上我一醒来一看，那这个新闻就铺天盖地，我就找了几个视频看了一下，我发现这个可以说是非常精彩。大家先把这个视频看完。
Hi, Vladimir. How are we doing on the deal? It doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America. And for the good of the world, I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way, so that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
Hey, I will respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2014.
2014?
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him. Me, like a new president, in 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel. We signed ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring it into this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems Like bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have the war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
Feel influenced.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influenced.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't have. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, you said thank you. You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I answer?
Wait a minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You haven't been alone.
In this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you men are brave, but they had to use our military. If you didn't have our military equipment, if you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days. I heard it from Putin. In 3 days. This is something
maybe
new.
Less.
In 2 weeks. Of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again, just say thank you.
I said a lot of times to American people.
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look. If you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you'd take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me. That wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make, because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do we do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you saying?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
Well, what if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden, because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff, it was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia. The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if he can make a deal. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is going to be great television, I will say that. We'll see what we can do about putting it together. Thanks. We'll see. I don't know. All right, guys, come on. Guys, come on. Thank you.
我想大家看了这个视频之后，心里自由判断。有的视频还比这长的，这个还有前面的部分的特朗普的介绍。这个10分钟的视频啊，主要是记录了他们之间的冲突这个过程。我想这个泽连斯基大有这个舌战唇儒的这个架势。我在以前一个节目说过，有的粉丝应该记得，我这个泽连斯基他本身就是演员出身，他背台词的功能底子还是有的，然后还是学法律的，所以我说辩论特朗普不是他的个儿。万斯还可以，就辩论主要还是年轻，脑子反应快，但是啊，显然也不是泽连斯基的个儿。我就从辩论的本身来聊一聊。泽连斯基表现出了他的一个涵养，也就是他越来越成熟，不卑不亢，绝不让步，但是他也没有升级，就是面对万斯和特朗普的咄咄逼人、粗鲁、无礼貌，多次打断他的说话。泽连斯基很多话根本就没有说完，就被这两个人粗暴的打断，但是泽连斯基一直压着他的语调语速，并没有把它升级成一种双方的谩骂吵架提高嗓门。这个泽连斯基控制的还是很好的。你反过你看这个特朗普，明显就已经上头了。那万斯的素质啊更差，为什么呢？我下面再讲。所以我觉得吵架互相怼，泽连斯基控制的还是非常好的，没有失态，不卑不亢，不承认的坚决不承认，该反击的坚决反击，该感谢的也感谢，该说软话的就说软话。我觉得这个表现啊是非常好的。但是也不能说泽连斯基一点问题都没有，大家恐怕也看到了，泽连斯基有一段时间双手抱胸，在外交场合啊，尤其作为一个国家领导人，这个动作是不好的。从心理学上来说啊，双手抱胸，一是表现你这是一种防御姿态，不是那种敞开胸怀，你防御，你对大家是保持一个警惕的这种心态啊，这在外交场合是不合适的。你见过哪个领导人在一起开会双手抱胸会谈啊？当然赫鲁晓夫除外，他把脚放在桌子上，这叫粗鲁，这个是泽连斯基不好的地方。第一个啊，就双手抱胸，它是一种防御姿态，这个寓意不太好。第二个也给人一种傲慢的感觉。特朗普和万斯觉得你是来求我的，或者你还抱这么个姿态，所以他就越来越上火。这是我说的，这是吵架的场面，这是我观察。实际上这个是有前因后果的。通过特朗普的讲话，我认为特朗普、万斯和泽连斯基的吵架是特朗普精心安排的，是他作为商人的一个本色。他想在这个谈判中，他要打压泽连斯基，继续极限施压 PUA 泽连斯基。哪知道泽连斯基不吃他这一套，谈崩了。为什么说极限施压呢？这整个的就是特朗普的一个局啊，作为商人他就喜欢玩这一套。首先从这个站位上来说，特朗普他跟万斯他两人明显的是有分工，是唱红脸唱白脸 AB 角，万斯就担任这个主攻手。特朗普本来是作为一个仲裁者，你看万斯跟泽连斯基之间发生口角，我来居中调停一下，让万斯去咬这个泽连斯基， PUA 他。搁一般人在这个场合这么一攻击之后，早就人就这个防线心里就垮了。或者就慌乱，也可能会慌不择路，也可能会让步。但是泽连斯基顶住了，坚决反击。特朗普一看自己放出去的小弟居然搞不过这个泽连斯基，所以他就恼羞成怒，自己亲自上。这个你要仔细想一想，他就是这么一个局。这个事情起因在哪儿？起因就是特朗普第一次一看见泽连斯基，泽连斯基坐着那个车到了白宫的门口，特朗普就跟泽连斯基握手，就开始拿他服装说事。他对记者说：“你看他今天还打扮了一下，这个是有意为之。”到了那个椭圆形办公室，特朗普再一次对吧说的这个衣服，当然这次是安排别人，我看是谁说的我没看到，他是话外音，我感觉好像是万斯说的，也可能是万斯边上人说的，记者说的，又说了衣服，问泽连斯基你为什么不穿西服，你有没有西服，为什么一而再再而三的提到衣服，实际上这个就叫 PUA 泽连斯基。按照这个外交礼节，两国元首会晤应该穿正装穿西服，这没错。但是泽连斯基这3年来，自从俄罗斯侵略乌克兰，他到哪儿去都是穿这种军便装，下面他也不穿皮鞋，对吧？穿一个那种军靴，绿色的裤子，绿色的上衣，是军便装，从来没穿西服。但是特朗普就要打压他， PUA 他。特朗普他认为我就是当今，他不说他是国王吗？永远正确吗？他是最伟大的总统，何况你是来求我的，帮你，你不得给我面子，你得尊重我，你要像我的小弟一样，像马斯克、卢比奥、万斯一样，要高呼万岁。你是来朝拜的，结果你穿个军便服，你是不尊重我。但是特朗普他说我喜欢他这衣服，实际上他就是在把这个火，把这个视线往这儿转移，实际上引导别人来攻击他。特朗普泽连斯基穿这样的衣服出席正式场合，无非就是向世界宣告，我们乌克兰现在正在饱受蹂躏，在遭到侵略，我们国家还在战火之中，这是他的个人风格，这是可以的。但是特朗普和他的爪牙不能容忍，认为你这是不尊重我，特朗普就是不尊重美国。特朗普下面就说他介绍万斯，他说万斯是个好人，大概这么说的，不知道你喜不喜欢。实际上他这个时候就发出一个信号，就是让万斯来攻击了，因为这是他们商量好的。所以这个时候万斯就开始指责泽连斯基，什么到白宫来就是来游说的，带着你的人，然后你们乌克兰现在人都已经打完了，你们士兵不够，对吧？你们要失败，就开始一顿攻击 PUA。说这个泽连斯基非常有礼貌，等他万斯疯狂的输出完之后，泽连斯基就问他，我能问你问题吗？万斯说可以，所以泽连斯基就开始反问他，这一下打中了要害。这个万斯恼羞成怒，就开始翻旧账了，说那些什么乌克兰没人，对吧？乌克兰打不过，这些都是表面的，实际上他深层次的原因是特朗普和万斯记恨在心，这就是万斯素质差的地方。他说泽连斯基10月份去年跑到宾州去那个军工厂去参观访问，这就是在支持拜登，支持民主党。你看看，这叫睚眦必报。按照美国的这个制度，你竞选之前说了什么做什么，那都是为了竞选，一旦选举结束，过去的基本上是一笔勾销，至少明面上表面上就算了，后面大家就要团结起来，共同向前看，要弥合这种竞选导致的分裂裂痕。所以说一般的这些副总统有修养的，竞选之前说的话都就算了，不提了，没人抓着不放。但是你看万斯居然在这样的场合，他说你泽连斯基，你以前居然支持拜登，你支持民主党，你不懂感恩。后来泽连斯基他是不是又开始说，从奥巴马开始，后面是特朗普，再后面是拜登，现在又是特朗普。那么克里米亚是2014年丢失的，那泽连斯基说的很明确，这个反击实际上就是在打特朗普的脸。特朗普老是吹牛，有我在就不敢打这个仗，普京就不敢侵略你们，有我在就有公平公正。那泽连斯基意思就是我2014年克里米亚被俄罗斯悍然占领，怎么你们都不解决？特朗普还跟他确认了一下，是2014年吗？特朗普是2016年当总统的，那你上台了，你怎么不解决？他就说奥巴马只给传单，我给你标枪，那你也没有给乌克兰带来公正公平，所以这一下就击中了特朗普的软肋，就是打了特朗普的脸。特朗普老是吹，泽连斯基这回没惯着他，反击他，结果特朗普怒了。真正激怒特朗普的是后面，泽连斯基说乌克兰现在饱受这个战火，你美国以后也会，你什么美丽的海岸线也会遭到这种炮火。这一下这个特朗普彻底怒了，心想在我领导之下，美国再次伟大，谁还敢打美国？会有战火到美国呢？所以他就发飙了。他发现他的小弟跟班万斯根本就辩不过泽连斯基，因为泽连斯基人家说的是合情合理，给你摆事实讲道理，万斯就是胡搅蛮缠。 特朗普也是胡搅蛮缠，说你乌克兰坚持不了2周。泽连斯基说你这个是普京的说法，普京还说3天，也把这个特朗普噎的，对吧？翻白眼，万斯也辩不过泽连斯基，所以怒了。我说了，本来这个特朗普是放狗咬人，完了之后他再出来和稀泥，这样对泽连斯基是个打压。完了之后，泽连斯基就是这个整个防线崩溃。完了在午餐的时候闭门会谈，差不多就让乌克兰泽连斯基你得让步，那具体怎么让步他都没说，你得让步。但是泽连斯基是根本就没有让步这一说，所以接下来我就要说泽连斯基和特朗普之间的根本的矛盾在哪？其实前面说的都是表象，只是这个特朗普睚眦必报小心眼，那也是，但是那都是表象，真正的核心焦点矛盾在哪？实际上在这视频里面也说了，特朗普说我要居中，也就是我要居中调停，我既不能倒向普京，我也不能倒向乌克兰，这是特朗普自己说的。那泽连斯基的态度呢？泽连斯基根本就不能接受这一点。泽连斯基要求的是你美国必须要倒向乌克兰，你美国跟欧盟、跟欧洲还有乌克兰，我们一起去跟俄罗斯谈判，谈不下来就揍他。告诉你，这就是泽连斯基的想法。所以泽连斯基根本就不能接受你美国把自己挑出来，说我中立，我来协调，这一点泽连斯基都不能接受。所以就不要说什么谈判条件了，说什么割让多少领土，就是到泽连斯基这儿，他都不能接受你美国来居中调停，你没有居中这一说，你就必须跟乌克兰、跟欧洲站一个战壕，我们一起来对俄罗斯施压，这样才能实现公正的和平。俄罗斯签的那些协议都没有用，特朗普他不愿意，所以这是他们俩的核心的关键的矛盾，不能调和。扩展协议实际上就是充分体现这一点。我在以前节目一直说泽连斯基是把扩展协议主要是跟安全保障要挂钩的，而这个特朗普他不可能在他见普京之前会跟你乌克兰挂钩。如果他也跟你乌克兰安全保障一挂钩，也就是说按照你泽连斯基的说法，我站到你这边，那我还有必要跟特朗普去跟普京去谈判吗？怎么可能还和平？那不就是打到底吗？所以特朗普说这个生意太难做，这个我在以前节目分析过了吧？这就是核心矛盾。特朗普是不可能在见普京之前要跟你乌克兰达成任何的什么援助你、什么保护你，他一定要让自己显得很中立。所以特朗普能跟乌克兰签这种扩展协议，从经济上面进行入手，跟乌克兰绑一块，这实际上某种程度就是一个进步，特朗普的一个诚意。也很多人不知道，以为特朗普这是要占便宜，也有占便宜的意思。但是最新版的这个扩展协议，美国也占不了什么便宜，美国顶多能影响乌克兰的稀土矿产以后怎么合作，卖给谁，权益他是拿不走的。但是我刚才说了，泽连斯基是接受不了的。泽连斯基的观念里面，你美国现在就表态，你要跟我站一块。以前拜登就是这么做的。你看拜登当总统的时候，这个普京多次释放信号要跟拜登谈，拜登根本就不理他，对吧？拜登说你找乌克兰谈，乌克兰谈成什么样我都支持，不要跟我美国谈。泽连斯基喜欢这样的，他需要这样。现在特朗普他要改变，泽连斯基他接受不了。大家还记得去年吧，这个德国总理舒尔茨给普京打电话，是不是被泽连斯基一顿骂？所以泽连斯基非常有意见，美国跟俄罗斯在沙特见面，不管你们谈什么，对吧？泽连斯基都接受不了，当然欧洲也接受不了。这就是特朗普跟泽连斯基之间的最关键的矛盾。那大家说一说，你这怎么调和？你说谁对谁错？我觉得从特朗普的角度来说，他要和平，那他这么做没毛病。如果他要倒向乌克兰跟普京谈，那不就是打吗？对吧？打明白再说，把俄罗斯打败。但是特朗普说这样又会出现第3次世界大战，他也害怕，他也担心。那从乌克兰的角度来说呢，泽连斯基也没错。你美国特朗普，你跟普京不管怎么谈，乌克兰都要让步，双方必须都让步。那乌克兰怎么让步啊？从泽连斯基角度来说啊，你说他把哪一块领土让出去，敢签这个协议吗？对吧？你特朗普只要跟普京谈，那必然的结果就是乌克兰要让出，就是乌克兰的领土完整、主权完整得不到保障。普京第一条就是不让乌克兰加入北约啊，你不让人家加入北约，你这不就是主权？这叫什么主权？主权什么意思？我想干啥干啥，我这不违法，我愿意加入哪个组织加入哪个组织，关你什么事？这叫主权。所以说，我觉得泽连斯基没毛病，他没有让步的余地，让不了。那你说这是怎么办？有很多人就说了，完了，乌克兰要输了，美国一下得罪了。实际上不是这样，特朗普他是个商人，我一直说他这个商人，他的原则是什么？要达成交易，而不是破坏交易。他不管怎么办，这个改变条件、改变要求，最终他要达成交易，是以实现交易为最高目标，而不是说交易失败，那叫什么商人呢？对特朗普来说，交易成功叫什么？就是他促成的和平，这是他最高理想。那你接下来就是特朗普要找泽连斯基，找欧洲。如果说他不搭理，那你怎么实现和平？实现不了和平，那特朗普怎么向美国的选民交代？他不是24小时停火吗？现在100天，现在改成半年，你现在你不管了是吗？所以球反而到了特朗普 普这儿，特朗普根本就不敢把大门关死。虽然特朗普现在还在施压，什么不留人家吃饭，把人家轰走了，他还要欧洲来协调，还要跟乌克兰，要么是施压，要么谈，他最终要达成他的交易。特朗普比较看重这个，他可能想得到诺贝尔和平奖。这对他来说很有面子，伟大的成就，以后全人类都会记着他，避免了第3次世界大战，够他吹的。所以大家记住了，你不用担心特朗普说甩手不管，那是不可能的。他要么继续对乌克兰、对欧洲极限施压，要么就是调整策略。实际上，我觉得特朗普这次怒怼，我觉得泽连斯基这次怒怼特朗普和万斯没毛病。泽连斯基说了，他跟美国媒体说，他也不打算道歉，他没做错什么，道什么歉？他感谢美国人民，对吧？他也感谢了特朗普。这个万斯，他把泽连斯基当作跟他们一样。是特朗普的下属，是特朗普的拥趸。你到特朗普这儿，你就感谢感激。所以他老说这个泽连斯基不懂感恩，他以为泽连斯基跟他是一样的，把感恩挂在嘴边。我觉得接下来这个球到了欧洲脚下，现在看欧洲怎么办？欧洲要更加团结。欧洲如果摆出一副姿势，更加团结，甩开美国来支持乌克兰，反而特朗普着急。第二个就是普京，普京现在是既高兴、既兴奋又担忧。高兴的是什么呢？是你看美西方产生矛盾了，他不是看笑话吗？对吧？这些不友好国家，这些反俄势力发生分化瓦解，这不都是好事吗？反俄势力大大削弱，担忧着什么呢？担忧着是和谈就化为泡影。这个普京是最希望和谈，赶紧停一停，让他歇一会儿。所以他把特朗普当作救命稻草，死死的抱着特朗普，你一定要把和谈搞下去，你要给乌克兰施压。但是你现在一看，特朗普跟泽连斯基谈崩了，你还有什么用？和谈遥遥无期，普京能不焦虑吗？接下来特朗普不会就这么罢休的，很有可能再采取其他的手段给泽连斯基施压，还是要 PUA。大家记住了啊，特朗普要跟普京会面，前提是他一定先搞定了乌克兰，知道乌克兰的底牌，这样他跟普京见面才有用。否则乌克兰这边你没谈好，你跟普京见面，你谈有什么用？就是他搞不定乌克兰，他就没有必要去见普京，跟普京的会晤那都是多余。所以接下来应该是特朗普着急啊，还得给泽连斯基给乌克兰施压。所以我说泽连斯基这一次就是向全世界当着特朗普和万斯的面表明自己的心智、自己的立场，这样导致你特朗普，对吧？你不要再跟俄罗斯再去苟合。我的态度、我的立场、我的决心已经表明了，就这样。你要去谈，你就照这个去谈，反正没有让步的余地。所以我说，这个泽连斯基和特朗普、万斯谈崩了，实际上是标志着特朗普和普京之间这种苟合啊，暂时失败，陷入了僵局。对乌克兰有什么伤害？没什么太大的伤害。乌克兰有可能接下来2个月、3个月比较难一点，艰苦一点，缺少美国的援助，无非就是这样。甚至在接下来的4年里面，乌克兰恐怕过得都比较苦，打得比较艰难。但是时间是站在乌克兰这边，所以我一直说，特朗普的上台给乌克兰抗击俄罗斯的侵略带来了不确定性，带来了变数，让这个反抗侵略的这个事业变得有点扑朔迷离、一波三折。但是这个世界大势就是这样，正义是必胜，最终俄罗斯迎接的一定是失败。特朗普只是乌克兰人民反抗俄罗斯侵略中的一个小插曲，改变不了最终的结果。所以我们再关注特朗普接下来干什么，他还能做出什么出来。好，这期节目我们就聊到这里，感谢大家收看。如果喜欢我的节目，欢迎订阅转发，也可以在下方留言评论，谢谢大家。